Hi, welcome to Parenting Group. So this group is a psychoeducational process group where parents will be able to learn about child development, healthy discipline, emotional regulation, be able to problem solve, and also learn about their own personal history with parenting in their own childhood and how that's affected them. It will be a closed group that is 16 weeks long and will be held for 2 hours a week and will be at a community hall. The reason why this group is important is because there are a lot of parents out there who are currently in the process of being investigated by DHS or have been separated from their children by DHS because the state does not find them suitable to hold their children at home. So we believe that the best place for children is to be at home, and that is best when it is healthy and safe. And so if it's not healthy and safe, then obviously they need to be somewhere else. But children do better when they're with their own family, and so we want to create a place for families to be able to learn how to be safe and to be loving and productive families that are a place where their children can thrive. And so a lot of parents don't know how to be good parents because they didn't have good experiences themselves. There are no requirements before you take your baby home from the hospital on knowledge of parenting and what that looks like. So a lot of people just don't have any idea what it looks like to be a good parent. So this group will start by DHS referrals, and then we'll look at who's being referred, what kind of issues they're having, how they're feeling about being a part of the group, and what their schedule is like. And then based off of those things, we will place them in the group that we think will fit best together. So we want groups that are diverse. We want to have people of different ages, different children issues. We also want some parents. We don't want like one group that's all the same problem parenting wise. We want it to be mixed up a little bit so that it's not too homogenous. But at the same time, everyone will have been dealing with DHS and everyone will be dealing with parenting issues, so there will still be some commonality. Some of the goals of the group are to learn about child development. We want parents to understand where their child is at and why their child is acting the way that they're acting. A lot of times parents expect their 2-year-old to act like a 6-year-old and their 6-year-old to act like a 20-year-old. And we want to help parents have realistic expectations and boundaries for their children. We also want to help parents learn what appropriate discipline is and take away punishment and use discipline instead. And so this is just helping parents understand the process of why you discipline a child and what that looks like and the good ways to do that. We also want parents to learn how to understand and process their own childhood and their relationship with their parents and the discipline or punishment that they received as children and how that's affected them and how it's affecting their parenting styles currently. We also want parents to look at their own personal triggers and the things that they've gone through and how their sensitivities are affecting their parenting styles and how to give themselves some buffers with those triggers. We also want to help parents learn how to stay calm. So we want to teach parents techniques for their children, to teach their children how to stay calm, and in the process teaching parents how to stay calm as well. And then we also want parents to be able to process and think about what it is that they're doing and why they're doing it. One of our goals is that parents will be able to express healthy attachment and empathy with their children. And then we also want parents to be able to have the space to just be able to ask questions and to learn about things that they're interested in when it comes to parenting. Some of the things that we think might come up, parents might be flooded by emotions from their own childhood or situations with their children and the current problems that are going on. Those are all really emotional topics. And so it could be that the parents get really agitated, overwhelmed, and kind of maybe just shut down. We also expect that there will probably be some resistance and a lack of desire to participate, or maybe just not wanting to share very much detail, especially because the group leaders are mandatory reporters, and parents might fear that if they share more details that it will be even harder for them to keep their children or get their children back. Another issue could be miscommunication. There are certain words when it comes to behavior and children that might sound different than what it actually means. So there are certain words that have become known in society that are not accurate. And so being able to help parents understand what the correct terminology is in parenting styles so that they don't think it's something other than what it is. So some of the techniques that we're going to be using are guided discovery, the Socratic dialogue, questioning, teaching, problem-solving skills, skills training, collaborative empiricism, and cognitive restructuring. And if you haven't guessed yet, that means our theory is CBT. And we're using CBT because it works really well for teaching and for training and for helping people rethink how they do life, and helps people be able to practice the things that they're learning really well. And that's what we want parents to do. We want them to start thinking differently. We want them to start implementing the things that they're learning. And we're going to send them home with homework to do each week. It's really important ethically that we talk about confidentiality. Obviously, the group leaders can't share other than mandatory reporting, but the group itself needs to also have some trust with one another and know that what they're saying inside group is going to stay inside of the group. Of course, mandatory reporting is an issue when we're talking about children and parenting and the potential problems that are going to come up with that. It's also important to realize that parents come from different cultural and religious backgrounds, and that might affect their beliefs on parenting. And so having respect and sensitivity towards those beliefs while also holding firm to what is acceptable by the state and DHS. So the different stages are initial stage, transition stage, working stage, and final stage. In initial stage, there might be a lot of issues because it is mandatory for some of the parents that they might feel a lot of mistrust or anxiousness and not really want to engage in the group. And so it's really important to establish trust. The second stage, transition stage, it's possible that people will still have a lot of reluctance and defensiveness about their parenting style and the things that they've done and say, well, it worked for me, so it'll work for my children too. And it's really important to handle these well with grace and to help them start thinking through the process of how is it actually affecting you and your children. In the working stage, one of the biggest problems is that sometimes they can go into non-working stages. And so we really want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable, that they feel safe, that there isn't a bunch of anonymity, but that people are really feel comfortable sharing their own selves and the situations that they're going through. And we want people to not be guarded, but we want people to be authentic within the group. And then in the final stage, members might not be ready to go or feel that they're prepared to go. And so it's helpful to process through that, where they're at, the support that they've had, and how they can take those things and implement them into the future and be good parents. So the things that we're going to be learning about are first week will be introduction and just ground setting. So having them get some buy-in. What is it that you want this group to look like? How do you want people to respond to one another? What are the rules here? And we're going to let the parents decide what those rules are. And then after that, we're going to go into child development. We're going to look at the different stages of child development and how that affects children and their brains and what that looks like and their emotions and actions. And then the next week will be attachment. So we're just going to look about attachment and the significance and the meaning of attachment and how important that is to healthy relationships. And then we're going to talk about safety. We want parents to understand how important it is to have a safe home, and that a safe home isn't just physically safe, it's emotionally safe and it's mentally safe. And so we want parents to have a home that is fully safe for each person in the home, where each person is respected and cared for and acknowledged. And then after that, we're going to go into some really detailed ways of helping parents be better parents. And the first one we're going to do is rethinking discipline. And so basically we're going to look at what is discipline, how is that different from punishment, and why do we do what we do, when do we do what we do, and how do we do what we do. And so we just kind of want to break down that thought process and help parents really start to flesh out what it is that they're doing and why they're doing it and how it's affecting their children. And then after that, we're going to look at discipline and the brain. And so we're just going to look at how the brain responds to discipline and what is going on in your child's brain when you're doing different things. And then the next week, we're going to look at connection. We really want to help parents learn how to connect with their children. And this is where the empathy section is going to come in. We're going to help parents learn how to communicate, how to comfort, how to validate, how to listen, how to reflect, and then cycle back through that process again. Then next, we're going to look at addressing behavior. And so what we do there is we redirect. And redirect stands for reducing words, embracing emotions, describe, don't preach, involve your children in the discipline, reframe a no into a conditional yes, emphasize the positive, creatively approach the situation, and teach mindset tools. And so we'll go through each one of those and explain what they mean and how they work. And then for multiple weeks in a row, we're going to be doing mindset tools. And basically that is just teaching parents how to use different tools and skills to help their children be able to respond to things with emotional stability, how to think through the process of things, and how to just be better citizens and community members. And so one of the things that they will learn is SIFT, which stands for sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. They'll also learn about HALT, which is hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And then they'll also learn about the upstairs brain and downstairs brain and a whole bunch of other things. After that, we're going to go into lagging skills and unsolved problems. And that's where you have a child who is really struggling in specific areas and helping parents figure out what is it that my child is really struggling in and why are they having these emotional breakdowns. And then from there, once the parent understands what it is that's happening with their child, what skill the child is lacking or what the child is having difficulty in doing, then we can go into collaborative problem solving, which is plan B. And then the very last week will just be a wrap up and being able to process all the things that they've learned, questions, concerns, and each week. So the first half will be the teaching and the training, and then the second half will just be processing and talking about their own situations with their own children, how they feel about what they've been learning, how this affects their own life and their own childhood, and how it affects their ability to parent. So some of the books that we are going to be looking at are this one. It's Attachment Focused Parenting, and it is by Daniel Hughes. We're also going to be looking at The Explosive Child by Ross Greene. And this one is the one that has the lagging skills, unsolved problems, and plan B. It's really helpful if you have children who just freak out and you don't know why. Then the other books that we are also using are No Drama Discipline by Dan Siegel and Tina Payne Bryson, and their workbook, The Whole Brain Child. And they have a whole bunch of other books as well, but I'm just using these two specifically for this situation. And this workbook has a whole bunch of really great things in it. It has drawings, it has things for the parents to kind of like check off, to read, give situational stories, and helps you kind of walk through all of the stuff that's going on. So those are some of the books that we're going to be using. And really our hope is that parents will be able to take these tools, be able to feel confident in their new approach to parenting, that they'll be able to connect with their children, that they'll be able to give their children love, safety, empathy, connection, and that they will have fun with their kids, and that their homes will be places of joy and laughter and learning, and that there will be freedom, and that they will be able to do well in life together as a family. So thanks for watching.